It seems that Theresa May has a new Brexit proposal. And in pushing this proposal, she gave a speech, and she lined up 10 points that made this to some degree different than the previous proposals that she put forth. And not just 10 points, there was one or two of those points that was extraordinarily big news because it came as a extreme departure from the position that she took before. But is it enough? Is it enough? And not just is it enough, is it too much, so much so that she loses support from her own party? That's what we need to talk about. We're going to talk Brexit coming up on the soapbox. I hope you guys are all right. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. And yes, let's hop across the pond and let's have a conversation about Brexit. Now, I follow Brexit because I like politics in general. I tend to watch it all around the world. But Britain, like I like to say, is our darker cousin of sorts. The politics is similar to American politics. And you can understand the language clearly because, they speak English. Nevertheless, Brexit has been going on and Brexit has been utterly fascinating. And if you have not been following this channel, I have several episodes going back to Brexit for almost a year. It's astonishing politics. It's politics that's taken place within Britain itself, meaning within the parties as they game and try to take power. And it's politics also from the standpoint of an external body, 27 European states, which is the European Union. This is politics on an extraordinary scale. And it's utterly fascinating. So I tend to cover it. That said, if you guys enjoy this channel and you find yourself coming back here often, please consider supporting this channel, liking the video, sharing the video, making sure you subscribe, and clicking the notification button so you can make sure you get my notifications. And if you really dig what I put down, please consider supporting the content through PayPal or Patreon. You get additional content, meaning the Patron Appreciation Show. In fact, speaking of that, there are additional episodes of that up now, all of them cut so you can see each specific topic. So, that said, let's do the news and let's hop across the pond to Brexit. So, I'm trying to think where to start this, because there are twists and turns that take place on this almost daily. What's the events are speeding up of sorts. Britain was supposed to be gone already. They're having European elections on Thursday. In these elections, they had no intention of ever taking place in these elections because they were supposed to have been gone in March. Then it was moved to April. Then it was pushed to, now it's October 30th. And so the Prime Minister has not been able to get her withdrawal bill through. It's been put up for a vote 3 times, and it's been shot down each and every one of those times. The first time it was shot down in historic margins. The second time, extraordinarily bad. And the third time, nearly as bad. She can't get her withdrawal bill through. Meaning, this notion of Brexit hasn't been able to take place because Parliament is just as divided as the population itself. And nothing, be it remain or leave, has been able to get through. The Prime Minister, where does the Prime Minister go in this situation? She can't get her bill through. So she's come out with a bold new approach to Brexit. Oh, and by the way, the Tories are being punished for this. They lost 1,300 local election seats. In this election that's coming up, the Brexit Party, they have no platform other than we're getting out of the European Union. That's the only platform. They are trouncing Labour and the Conservative parties. Both main parties. Completely inefficient, and the public is pissed off at both. Not at Labour to the degree of the Conservative Party, but they're pissed off at both. What does the Prime Minister do with this? You have people screaming at her, "Why don't you leave already?" They said it with a British accent, but you get the point. They want her gone. Now, the Prime Minister has promised to leave. She's promised to leave after this vote, and that she's going to set out a timetable by which she would depart. So, the Prime Minister, within the next month or so, is not going to be the head of the Tory party. We have no idea who that is going to be. There's already a contentious election that's squaring off, particularly with some of the people who are full-blooded Brexiteers, like Boris Johnson. But in the meantime, the Prime Minister has put out her plan. I'm going to let you listen to the 10 points that she's mentioning here in this particular speech. What I will say to you is listen carefully, because two of these points, let's say one of these points, is dead on arrival. Not only is it dead on arrival for Brexiteers that are ideologically opposed to the point, Labour, it doesn't go far enough. And that just doesn't go far enough. Labour has no interest in doing anything to help Theresa May on this. Conservative Party decided to call for a referendum on Brexit. They got their referendum. The Conservative Party lost their referendum on Brexit. After the Brexit, it was the Conservative Party that called for a snap election, lost that snap election, and here we are. This was also the Tory Party that didn't want to allow Labour into the talks when they were trying to figure out their game plan for Brexit. They were going to run an ideological Brexit from the Tory side. That failed miserably. And now she's sitting on an olive branch to try to get Labour. And Labour's like, not us. Not us. It's like a stick with shit at the end of it. It's like, here, take it. Take it. We want no parts of that, sir. We want no parts of that, mister. And so you have what Labour is doing is fudging. Fudging. Labour says, all right, we'll talk to her, but look, man, she's not willing to move on those red lines. She's not willing to move on the red lines. Now, Labour has red lines themselves. They'll say, look, we have a 7-point plan that we need to have, to take place in order for us to approve any deal. 7 points. All 7 needs to be done. All 7. You're missing one, buddy. And in this case, this notion of a potential second referendum, which is off the bat typically a deal breaker for conservatives, because again, they call for a referendum. And if you ask the public again for a second referendum, to some degree, you didn't implement the first referendum. They're ideologically against this stuff. Let's hear what Theresa May is putting on the table. I swear to God, one of these is going to stand out to you as, whoa, they're not going to go for that at all. And you'll be absolutely right. I'm not even going to tell you which one it is. I'm going to let you hear it for yourself. All right, so let's see. It starts here. In fact, I'm just going to tell you what it is. Second referendum. Second referendum. Theresa May, in a certain fit of desperation, offers up the potential for a second referendum, meaning a vote on a potential second referendum, allowing Parliament to get a choice to offer the public a second referendum, providing they pass a withdrawal bill. That's what she's offering. It's a quid pro quo. Look, if you pass my withdrawal bill, I'll allow Parliament to make this vote. Like I said, that didn't go down well at all, especially if you're talking about Brexiteers who are ideologically against this, and Labour, who is against this because, politically they need to be. This did not go over well.
I've also listened carefully to those who've been arguing for a second referendum. I've made my own view on this clear on many times. I do not believe this is a route that we should take, because I think we should be implementing the result of the first referendum, not asking the British people to vote in a second one. But I recognise the genuine and sincere strength of feeling across the House on this important issue. The government will therefore include in the withdrawal agreement bill, at introduction, a requirement to vote on whether to hold a second referendum. And this must take place before the withdrawal agreement can be ratified. And if the House of Commons were to vote for a referendum, it would be requiring the government to make provisions for such a referendum, including legislation if it wanted to ratify the withdrawal agreement. So to those MPs who want a second referendum to confirm the deal, you need a deal and therefore a withdrawal agreement bill to make it happen. So let it have its second reading and then make your case to Parliament. Finally, we cannot expect MPs to vote on the same 2 documents they previously rejected.
All right, so on that point, she's offering the potential of a second referendum. Brexiteers' heads exploded. Heads exploded. And not just heads exploded, we're very open in telling people that this was a fail on arrival. Now, again, they're ideologically opposed to this. In their heads, some of these guys are okay with a no-deal Brexit. There is no capacity, or there's no support for no-deal Brexit in Parliament. But understand what a no-deal Brexit is. A no-deal Brexit doesn't require a popular vote. It doesn't require anything. It just requires you fall out of the European Union. Meaning, if you don't want a no-deal Brexit, you have to actually vote on a deal. So saying we don't want a no deal is not necessarily the same thing as saying you're going to vote on a deal. And again, you don't need a deal to fall out of the European Union without a deal. I hope that makes sense. And I know this sounds confusing. It's just to say that there is no popular support in Parliament for a no-deal Brexit. That sounds nice, but that means you need to vote on something. If you can't vote on anything, whether you have popular support for a no-deal Brexit or not, you'll fall out. No-deal Brexit just requires you don't do anything, meaning you need to take an active step at voting for something to prevent the eventuality of a no-deal Brexit. Hope that makes sense. The next part, she's going to go to 10 points, 10-point plan. This video is going a bit long, so I'm going to put this at the bottom so you can see it for yourself. But I will say it this way. If her goal and objective in this was to kind of bring two sides together, it did not accomplish that objective. And the problem here is she's trapped between two sides of her own party, but also in another party, Labour. Even if she had all the agency in the world from the standpoint of her party, she doesn't have that for Labour. And her government is being propped up by the DUP, meaning the Conservatives. They don't have the say of the House in general alone by themselves. They have a combined, you can say, a minority government, meaning she's already a weak prime minister. And this is added to the fact that Brexiteers want her gone. Brexiteers want out of the European Union, and Brexiteers are pissed off by not being out in the European Union. Second referendum is not going to fly with them. Labour is not taking this at all. And in fact, I'll let you hear John McDonnell response to this deal when asked about whether or not they would support it now that a second referendum is included in the deal. If you know, remember, Labour is fence sitting. Labour is not coming up with a solution one way or the other. Now, in an odd way, this is politically advantageous to Labour because they're looking at it as all options are on the table. We'll take a second referendum if it's becoming between that and May's deal. However, we would prefer the election. They're doing this number, we'll prefer this, but we'll do this if this happens. And people are like, well, yeah, is that remain or stay? Is it remain or leave? Well, it kind of depends. Yeah. But are you a Brexit party or are you a Remain party? Which one is it? Well, I mean, we're a little bit of both depending on the situation. It's that. And so that's not necessarily going over well, but that's going over a little bit better. They're doing that because they don't want to lock themselves into any particular mode between now and if an election is called. Meaning the fence sitting is politically advantageous, even though they're catching flack for the fence sitting. They call it a fudge in Britain. Whatever you want to call it, same difference. Listen to John McDonnell. He's shadow chancellor for Labour.
Let's see the terms upon which she's offering the deal. We're going to look at the bill that she's going to produce and we'll study it in detail. We'll take it very seriously. I can't see from what she's said today that this will be acceptable to Parliament, but let's have a look at the bill. We'll take this seriously.
It is possible, though, that Labour will back this bill in order to get Brexit done, as majority of your constituencies voted for.
Not on the terms that I've seen so far. This is no different from what we were offered in the talks. It isn't the permanent comprehensive customs union that we need. It doesn't look as though we're going to get the security of protection of workers, employment rights and environmental and consumer rights. And again, it doesn't look as though we're going to get the close alignment with the single market that we wanted. So on all those criteria, it doesn't look as though the government has moved.
The Prime Minister...
Right there. That's Labour's position. The government hasn't moved. The government hasn't moved enough. Now, you must understand, because this bill has been voted on 3 times by Parliament, Theresa May can't bring back the exact same bill. And even if the bill is extremely similar, she has to talk about the bill if it's something completely radically different, because otherwise people are voting on the same bill. His point is, look, this bill hasn't changed all that much. And not only has it not changed all that much, we don't know if it gives us what we want for labor. I would argue there is nothing that they could give that would be enough for labor. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think these guys are rather craven in the politics that they've been using, but they're supposed to be to some degree. Yes, you'd expect them to be above it all, especially for something like Britain, but why would you expect them to be above it all for something like Britain? Their job is to take power. Full stop. In pursuit of taking power, you can't be overly craven where people think, oh my God, they're willing to tank the country in order of this, because you'll lose votes. Meaning to some degree, that overt gross politics gets punished. However, if you can be sincere while doing the exact same thing, you will be rewarded. Of course they're going to behave that way. Labor has a bunch of constituents that want Labor to take power because they believe that what Labor is going to do is the best thing for Britain. So, yes, the people who are, supporting Labor want Jeremy Corbyn to take a role in a position that would allow him to take power in this particular environment. That's his job. That's his job. Whether or not the fence sitting thing is going to ultimately work, who knows? But that is his job. This is Brexit, man. This is big time politics, and it's fascinating politics. So definitely pay attention to what's taking place. Theresa May is going to be out very, very soon, whether she wins or loses this bill. And what it looks like today is she's going to absolutely lose this. There doesn't seem to be support for this in Parliament on either side of the aisle. So I'll leave it here. I'm not going to keep this one any longer because this one has already gone longer than I wanted. I would say if you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course you can always support this content through PayPal or Patreon. Like I said, there's additional content on Patreon right now. Also, please hit the notification bell just so you know when I do videos, because apparently people have been unnotified. That sounds weird. Not unsubscribed, but they weren't getting any notifications. Thanks all. I'll see you in a few. I think I want to get some chess in.